Hey, it's Claude Johnson here. So today I want to talk about 9 chords, and 9 chords are a great substitute for dominant 7 chords. So usually in a blues we got our dominant 7 over the 1, 4, and 5. You can always throw in a 9 chord just to spice it up a little bit. So today I'm going to just show you some of my favorite voicings, meaning like a different way to form the chord. Okay, so let's go to the key of A. And like the most common way to use a 9 chord is probably over the 4 chord. So in the key of A, that'd be the D. So you could start out just like on an A7 if you were playing blues. There's your D9. So this is like probably the first 9 chord that I learned. And it's in the middle 4 strings, and you got your 5th fret, 4th fret, and then 5th fret, 5th fret. Now you can also play the 5th fret on the high E string. You would finger that by barring with your ring finger on the top 3 strings and then getting the other 2 notes. Okay, this is also a D9. You just happen to be also playing the 5th degree. So these 4 notes would be like root, 3rd, 7, 9, and then 5th, which is technically part of the chord. But when you play this, when you play this first version, you're leaving out the 5th, but that's sort of allowed. So this one is with the 5th. And then you can always add your pinky. That makes it a 13 chord, but that's obviously not a 9 chord. But along the way here, I'll show you a couple different other chords that sort of go with these 9 chords. Anyway, so you have your 9 chord here. Here's a 9 chord. Now you can play this without the root, this D9. So the lowest note would be an F sharp, which is also the same thing as like an F sharp minor 7 flat 5. And the difference between like the function of a minor 7 flat 5 is very small difference. It's basically the same idea. You can think of the minor 7 flat 5 as like an extension from the root, but it also has that 9th degree in it, and it's just a different way to add color to that basic root or tonic. So, hey, real quick before we continue here, I just want to give a quick plug for my free course. It's called 7 Blues Guitar Secrets That Save You Years of Practice. You can get it at BluesGuitar-Com/secrets, or just check the link in the video description. And I think it's got a lot of powerful insights and concepts that are going to help you out. They're going to help you with everything you're doing, including the stuff in this video. So once again, just check the link in the description. Thanks for your support, and now back to the video. Yeah, D, you can do D9, this D9 without the root. Now you can also do this, just even without the root and 3rd, so you just have your 5th, 7th, and 9th, and you get this kind of a sound, which you might hear in Chicago blues. Of course, in that context, you would be having like the bass guitar playing the root. So a lot of times, like in a band setting, you can get away a lot more with playing these partial voicings, like leaving out the root, stuff like that. All right, so now let's talk about 9 chords off the A, basically like with our root on the low E string. All right, so one place to start would be like this. You have your triad, or like a dominant 7 triad, or root, 3rd, 7th. Okay, now this is, I think, all by itself just like an overlooked voicing. Like you can add the 5th up here. So instead of this, always playing this one, you can play this. Still dominant 7. Now, how about if we flatten out our first finger here? So we get this note basically. So you're kind of barring back here. So So this is like 5th fret, 4th fret, 5th fret, 4th fret. Okay, now one kind of cool thing you can do is use your pinky from this position and hammer onto the 6th fret, which is your 3rd. So you're kind of going back and forth between a 9, A9 and A7. Kind of a cool sound and easy to do. Now you can also go back to put your pinky on the 5th fret of the B string. That's that 5th we mentioned. And you have a full sounding dominant 9 chord. Now notice, let's just go back to this one for a second, this 4 note. It has this shape within it, which I did another lesson. I call that the T-bone Walker chord. So when you do this, you're doing the same thing, but you're playing the root underneath it. Just a different fingering, but even though, so the shape looks different, but it's the same notes within it. Now, again, let's take this 5-note chord and just look at the top notes. We get this shape, which doesn't look obvious if you're playing it like this, but it's the same note, just different fingering. Okay, so that's a nice voicing. And you could play that one with the low root, without this 3rd here. So I really like that one. Again, you can add the pinky and get, go from a 9 to a 7. So you'd be going from, you'd be going from this one to this. You can do that with or without the low root. So this is without the low root. And then you can add the low root. I like to use my thumb. Okay, then you can also get this one. This is a cool one to end a song on. Good ending chord. But basically it's like, this kind of dominant 7th I love to use with the 7th in the melody. Now we'll just add the 9 on top of that. It's a great little companion chord to go back to like a voicing with the root on top. So like, or okay, you can play this just these 3 if you want without the root. This is the root, not this low one, but this is the octave up here. So you have this, just these 3, or this, or even this. This one, a little tricky to finger, but it's a nice chord if you want to get that 9 sound with the low root in it. Let's see, other things you can do. Go back to this one for a minute. You could do like all combinations, like root 9 5th. Kind of gives you a spaced out type of voicing. Or with the 7th, just like root 7 9th. What about 5th 7 9th? Now this also happens to be an E minor triad. So there we kind of see the relationship between the minor 5 and the 9 chord. So the minor 5, if it was a minor 7 chord, you would have that D note in there as well, which would be the 11th. But we're not playing the 11th, we're just playing the triad, which would sort of be like playing like this, but just this one would be displaced down an octave. So instead of you could even add the root with it. A little little bit hard to finger. You can do it with your thumb or maybe like this. But, well, yeah, I think it's not that comfortable. It's got a great sound though. So all these combinations. Anyway, I hope that gives you some food for thought. And you can try using these in your blues. All right. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you soon.